Hello, welcome to Drive-By History. In this episode, we will be visiting the small eastern North Carolina town of Pikeville. We'll be learning a little bit about its history, what it's like today, and visiting the most famous place in town, an AMC dealership, which is a real oddity in the early 21st century. History is an adventure, and we hope you will join us as we visit Pikeville and the last AMC dealership. Located between Wilson and Goldsboro, North Carolina, and about 60 miles from the booming Triangle area is Pikeville, the gem of Wayne County. People have been living in this area for a very long time. The Indians were here first, but left after the Tuscarora War, the bloodiest colonial war in North Carolina. The Tuscarora War is a fascinating story in itself, but that's for another time. After the Indians left for New York to join the Iroquois, the Quakers settled the area, attracted by the mild climate and the rich soil of the Neuse River Basin. One of the early settlers was a gentleman by the name of Samuel Pike, who was granted about 2,800 acres of land by King George II. Samuel Pike had a son, Nathan, who later owned most of the land. Nathan Pike was an industrious man, and in what became known as Pike's Junction owned and operated a hotel, tavern, shop, and trading post. Over the years, Mr. Pike sold much of his land to families settling in the area. By the time of the Civil War, Pike's Junction was an unincorporated township named Pikeville, with a post office and rail stop on the Wilmington and Weldon Railroad. Like many small towns in the South, Pikeville did not fare well during the Civil War, especially with Bentonville, site of the last great battle of the war, and Goldsboro not being far away. In mid-April of 1865, Union pillagers called bummers came into Pikeville, looted and burned the tavern and inn, along with many other buildings and homes, including the home of Sarah Pike, the elderly widow of Nathan Pike. Things are much calmer today, with about 700 souls calling Pikeville home, downtown streets lined with historic buildings and churches, and traffic rushing by on Interstate 795 and through on US 117. The railroad, now the CSX, is still there, and as is typical with old U.S. highways, US 117 runs parallel to the tracks, here about a half mile to the east. Heading south on US 117, across from a food line and an auto zone, is the most unlikely of sights in the early 21st century, and what has brought us to Pikeville, Collier Motors, the last AMC dealership. Collier Motors opened in 1955 and started selling American Motors products, and now, 40 years later, they still are. Well, sort of. Collier Motors in Pikeville, North Carolina, is famous as the last remaining AMC dealer. But don't expect a lineup of bright, shiny cars ready to go with AMC's 5-year, 50,000-mile warranty. American Motors was formed by a merger between Nash Kelvinator and the Hudson Motor Car Company in 1954. The company operated as an independent automaker until 1979 when French automaker Renault bought a major interest in the company. AMC's doom was sealed when it was taken over by Chrysler, because Chrysler wanted AMC's Jeep division. Collier pretty much ended its affiliation with American Motors when Renault came along. But Collier didn't switch brands or close. They kept right on selling AMCs and Jeeps, both leftover new ones and used ones. Collier Motors has been covered by TV station WRAL and its Tar Heel Traveler. The American Pickers guys have been there, and there have been innumerable articles about it over the years. And yes, if you're looking for a Javelin, an Ambassador, a Hornet, or something rare, Collier Motors may be able to help you out. But call first. You will need an appointment. And bring money. Collier doesn't sell much and wants to be well paid for what it does sell. You aren't likely to find any bargains at Collier Motors. Collier Motors isn't your typical dealership. It strikes me more as a cross between a post-apocalyptic car dealership, a hoarder stash, and a junkyard. Which is really what it is. Well, aside from the apocalyptic part. Every place has a story, and now you know a bit about the story of Pikeville and Collier Motors, the last AMC dealer.
My American Eagle can go just about anywhere under the sun. Anywhere. Come on.
Eagle's automatic four-wheel drive gives me the confidence to take the family to the beach the hard way. Eagle even hauls my boat out of this. Now, I wouldn't try that in an ordinary compact. Eagle's four-wheel drive automatically directs power for the traction to get out where there's nothing but woods, and occasionally another Eagle.
The Eagle has landed on all fours at American Motors.
hope you enjoyed this visit to Pikeville and the last AMC dealer. If you want to know more about Pikeville and Collier Motors, check out the links in the comment section. In this series, Drive By History, the idea is we're driving along, come across an interesting, historic place, take a look at what makes it special, and tell some of its story. If you liked what you saw here, please like, subscribe, and share. Every place has a story, and we tell some of them here on Drive By History. See you on down the road.